Charles is quite canny, that can't be so stupid he doesn't think things aren't going to get out even when they're private, because there is no such thing as a private conversation when you're a member of the royal family.
King Charles just did something small enough to miss and big enough to change everything. No crown, no announcement, no dramatic moment on the balcony. Just a few quiet words buried in official palace wording, the kind almost everyone scrolled straight past. But the people who watch the monarchy for a living stopped dead when they saw it, and every one of them turned to look at the same person, Prince William. So, what did the king actually do? And why does it point straight at his son? Stay with me, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. The line, everyone scrolled past. Here it is. Charles has appointed the Prince and Princess of Wales as grantors of royal warrants, William and Kate, able to issue royal warrants in their own names for the very first time. Their first ones are expected in the spring of 2026. I know, it sounds like paperwork, like a footnote for the sort of people who get excited about crests and letterheads. That is exactly why almost everyone scrolled straight past it. But stay with me a second, because the veterans didn't scroll past. They stopped. And you should understand why. A royal warrant is not a trinket, it is recognition. It says a company has supplied the royal household on a regular, ongoing basis, generally for at least 5 of the past 7 years. And once it is granted, that business gets to put the royal arms on its products, its packaging, its stationery, its premises, its advertising, even its vehicles, for 5 full years at a time. In Britain, that small mark is one of the most coveted endorsements there is, the kind of thing money genuinely cannot buy. You either earn the crown's trust, or you don't. Now, here is the detail that makes the veterans stop scrolling. Until this moment, in this reign, the power to grant those warrants sat with exactly 2 people, Charles and Camilla. That was the whole list. And the king just took a piece of it and slid it across to his son. Think about what that actually is. Not a title, not a ribbon, a working power that flowed from the sovereign, now flowing to the heir and his wife. So, the real question, the one that won't let go, is simple. When was the last time the wife of a future king was handed this exact power? Because the answer isn't a few years ago. The answer sends you back more than 100 years. And once you know the year, the whole thing changes shape. 100 years of silence. Go back over a century. That is how long it has been since a Princess of Wales could grant a royal warrant. The last one was Mary of Teck in 1910. Before her husband became King George V. More than 100 years of that door staying shut. Sit with that. And here is the name that makes it hit. Diana. The most famous Princess of Wales the world has ever seen. The woman who could stop a room, a street, an entire continent just by showing up. She never granted a single royal warrant, not one. That power was never placed in her hands. So, when it lands with Kate, it isn't a formality anyone shrugs at. It is a door swinging open that has been closed since before the Second World War. Quick thing before we go further. If the hidden machinery of the monarchy pulls at you, the small, quiet moves that decide who holds power next, subscribe now while you're thinking about it. What comes next in this story is the part that actually matters. And I would hate for you to miss where it lands. Because here's the thing about a door like this. It doesn't open by accident. Someone chose the moment. Someone decided that now, of all times, was the time to hand this down. And the moment they chose is exactly what should make the hair on your neck stand up. Because of what is happening to the king himself right now, while all of this quietly moves into place. The power hiding in a piece of paper. Let me show you why this is bigger than it looks. Forget the crest for a minute. Think about what a warrant from Kate would actually do out in the real world. For about 15 years now, there has been a thing people call the Kate effect. She wears a coat, a dress, a pair of earrings, and within minutes it is gone. Sold out. Waitlisted. Brands she so much as touches climb overnight. And that is just her walking out of a building. No warrant, no paperwork, just her. Now take that pull and formalize it. Make it official. Stamp it with the royal arms and hand it to the companies she and William choose to lift up. And this reaches into everything. Food and drink, clothing, household goods, farming, building, transport, the lot. One warrant can take a tiny family firm nobody has heard of and turn it into a national name by the end of the week. To give you the scale, Charles and Camilla have granted these to close to 600 brands since he became king in 2022. 600. That is the size of the machine. And every one of them began with a single person holding this power. Now, 2 more people hold it. And that machine is what William and Kate now get to operate. A real, quiet say over which corners of British life get to wear the crown's blessing. This is soft power in its purest form, and Charles just pushed a large share of it across the table to his son without a single trumpet. But here is what nobody is really telling you. The influence is not why the correspondents leaned in. It was never really about teapots and tailors. It was the timing. And to feel the timing, you have to look hard at the man doing the handing over, because the king is not well. The king is still very much the king. Let me be careful here, because this part matters and people get it wrong constantly. Charles has not stepped back. He is still the sovereign, still working a schedule that would flatten people half his age, still turning up day after day, even while he goes through treatment following his cancer diagnosis. The engagements keep coming, at home and abroad, the grand state occasions and the small ordinary ones alike. He is very much the king, and he wants that understood. But watch the room, not the headline, because the balance around him has been shifting for a while now. Over the past couple of years, William has quietly taken on more and more the heavy ceremonial moments, representing the crown at the things that used to belong to the monarch alone. Standing in that center-of-the-room position, while both his father and his own wife were fighting serious health battles at the same time. Picture it, a state occasion, the hall full. Every eye on the family, and more, the figure the whole room turns toward is the son, not the father. Any one of those duties on its own means nothing. A busy heir doing his job, fine, nothing to see, but lay them all end to end, one after another, and a shape starts to appear out of the noise. An heir being pulled, steadily and on purpose, toward the middle of everything. And that is the exact thing that cracks open the question nobody inside those palace walls wants, said out loud. Is this just a son stepping up for an ailing father? Or is it the first quiet move in something the king is not yet ready to name? What they're whispering and what they're not. Now, I have to pump the brakes, because this is where it gets slippery, and I am not going to hand you a rumor dressed up as a fact. You deserve better than that. For months now, some reports and a whole lot of tabloid chatter have circled one idea, that Charles might one day choose to abdicate. Commentators have speculated that plans are being quietly talked through behind closed doors, that the strain of his age and his treatment is starting to tell, that William is being ready to step into the role sooner than anyone expected. So hear me clearly, because this is the part people skip. That is speculation. It is unverified. Buckingham Palace has announced no abdication plan, and it has given no official signal of one, none at all. Anyone telling you it is a done deal is guessing and hoping you won't check. Where the whispers even come from is easy enough to trace. In 2023, Queen Margrethe II of Denmark stepped aside and passed her throne to her son. And just like that, the idea of a modern monarch handing over on purpose stopped sounding impossible. People looked back at Charles and started to wonder out loud. But Britain is not Denmark. Here the word abdication drags a long, heavy shadow behind it, all the way back to the crisis of 1936. It is not a word this palace ever reaches for lightly, and Charles has spent his entire life describing duty as something you carry right to the very end. So take all the rumors, every last one, and set them gently to the side. Because underneath the whole noisy pile sits one single thing that is not a rumor. And it is bigger than any whisper you have heard yet. The part that's actually real here is the solid ground under your feet. The line of succession itself is not in any doubt. And no warrant on earth changes it. It is settled by law. William first, then his 3 children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, in that exact order. Fixed, locked. No rumor lays a finger on it. What is moving right out in the open in front of all of us is who actually does what inside this reign. That is the real story, not who will be king. That is already answered. The live question is how much of the job quietly shifts before the day ever comes. Think about the run this family has just survived, the king's illness, the Princess of Wales fighting her own way back from cancer, one controversy after another hammering at the institution, including the very public steps taken across 2026 around Prince Andrew and his standing. And through every bit of it, somehow, the crown kept functioning. Part of the reason it kept functioning is that the weight got spread wider than it used to be. The warrant handover is one clean piece of exactly that. Concrete, dateable, undeniable, not a whisper in a tabloid, a signature on a document with a name attached. And when you finally hold that real, solid thing up next to all the swirling speculation, you can see why the people who do this for a living stopped scrolling and stared. It is not that the king is walking away. It is that he is building something, carefully, in plain sight, one handover at a time. And the person the whole thing is being built around is someone whose name you have known your entire life. So, what did Charles actually do? So, let me just answer it, plainly, the way I would if you were sitting across the table from me right now. He did not abdicate, he did not hand over the throne, nothing that loud, nothing that final. What he did was quieter, and, in a strange way, heavier. He gave his son and his daughter-in-law a genuine piece of the monarch's own power, a power a Princess of Wales has not held in over 100 years. Diana never got it. Mary of Teck was the last, back in 1910. And now, it sits with Kate and William, first warrants due in the spring of 2026. And in doing that one quiet thing, Charles said something out loud without saying a word. About where this is all heading, about who steps into the light next. The signature was easy to miss, the meaning is impossible to unsee. Here is what I would ask of you. If you made it all the way to here, you already care about this more than almost anyone in your feed. So, subscribe, turn those notifications on, and stay close, because this story is genuinely moving and the next turn is not going to wait for us. And then, talk to me. Down in the comments, tell me straight. Do you think Charles is simply preparing William the responsible way, a careful father and a careful king doing the sensible thing? Or do you think this is the first real signal of something much bigger, moving toward us faster than the palace wants to admit? Tell me exactly where you land. I read every single one.